Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from Boba Fett's laundry room.
He's got one suit.
Just throw it out. I mean, my gosh. The Sarlacc pit leaves its mark, and,
it's got a pressure washer in it and a lot of Febreze.
I will say that. You watch this show, all you want to do is take a shower afterwards.
It's very gritty.
Yeah, very gritty. Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth, and our buddy Max behind the glass. And I guess shortly we should weigh in on Boba Fett because, once again, Disney has shown we are not canceling our subscription just when you think you want to.
But it's strangely getting a lot of criticism from people about how boring it is. I'm like going, what?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, they're not watching the right show.
No.
Yeah. No, I don't know. And look at, I was the hardest sell on this thing. I remember when the trailers came out, and I'm like, I couldn't have cared less. I was like, okay, I'll just wait till the Mandalorian comes out. And lo and behold, once again, they've done. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have done it. So, but later in the show,
never bet money against those two.
I'm gonna be honest. The hardest sell out of this room though will be me and Mando season 3 because that means I have to go back and watch all of Rebels again, and that's going to be such a hardship.
Yeah.
I hope everybody at home can hear the sarcasm.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at the complete lack of suffering on the countenance of your visage.
Yeah.
So.
Well, also, speaking of outer space, Allan, you've got diamonds from outer space. They're actually going on the auction block. This is not a theoretical.
This is nothing theoretical about this hunk of rock.
There's a lot of stuff that we see. You might even, I dare say, you might be wearing a wedding ring or something that is from outer space if it's made of gold.
You could.
I mean, let's face it. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are interplanetary, or they're just extraterrestrial that this sounds.
We'll
like
just
an
go ahead and say
story.
intergalactic,
yes. And we don't know where it came from. It's pretty interesting. So, but let's circle back because Brandon. Okay, I've got some notes here, and I wanted to add, you're the master of the deep cut. One of the things that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are really big into is, you could say, paying homage.
Right.
And so sometimes you'll see something and you're like, my favorite example is
you're going to ask me about the neutrinos.
Well, real quick,
the augments.
It's all the little inside jokes. Like, for example, on Mandalorian, I think it was season 2, when they had that kind of, the guy that was helping them infiltrate the place. They were at some Imperial base, and there was like a 1,000-foot drop, and there were no handrails. And the guy goes, "There's not even any handrails here."
Right.
Which is like, everybody's always said that. It's like, why are there no handrails? Like,
these
things. And so that's just a little homage to the true fan to go, okay. Well, in Boba Fett episode 4, by the way, folks, we deal in spoilers here, so it's going to be full.
We deal in a lot of them.
There was this chase between these young kids who, they remind me of like punk rockers from the 70s or something. They were on their scooters. They were real flashy.
Yeah, they were on Vespas.
And they were
hover Vespas.
Yeah, hover Vespas. And they were chasing, what's-his-face, the mayor's assistant, through the streets of Mos Eisley or whatever. And to be honest, Brandon, the special effects were subpar. The way the scooters moved, the way it looked, it did not look up to what we're used to. And I said, okay, I don't think this is a failure. I think this is done on purpose. And what do you think?
All right,
man?
so there's no confirmation on this. This is my theory. I'm sure there's enough people like me that are on the internet who've made the same conclusion.
Okay.
It's paying homage to American Graffiti. First of all, look at the design of the augments, hover bikes.
Mm-hmm.
They've all got that. They've all got that very almost 60s feel to the vehicle.
Right.
But we also think about there aren't many races in American Graffiti, but they're all really slow compared to what we would expect today, because we've got things like the Fast and the Furious, and in Star Wars we have speeder bikes.
Because George Lucas, that was his first directorial debut, and he had no money to make that.
Yeah, that was the thing that got us,
right.
And all, and it's very much. I mean, I'm hoping that Favreau eventually comes out and he admits that was an homage to that,
right?
Because that's one of the things he's getting a whole lot of flack about, is that scene in particular. And I'm like, you know what? It has a very, the special effects themselves. Yes.
Right.
Let's
part's cool.
start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
This was not going to be a high-pressure, highfalutin, fast and furious in space chase. They were Vespas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, they're
going to go a
chasing-
little faster than walking.
They're chasing a guy that probably doesn't even know how to drive.
They're chasing the very prim, proper, and prissy, sarcastic major domo of the mayor.
Right.
He's that rat guy that's in every horrible movie. He's the guy who had the Ghostbusters committed in Ghostbusters 2.
Yes.
We've seen that character. He don't know how to drive.
No.
Yeah, he looked like he didn't really. He's slamming into
And
things.
those kids, one of them wrecked, but it looked like they were boxing him in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very interesting, but it's like I invite people to go back and look at some of these things because when we come back, I think we'll mention another shot that was reminiscent of
let's just talk about that slow-moving chase in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Absolutely. So we're going to do a little more to unpack that because Boba Fett it's full of surprises, and we hope we'll be full of surprises over the next hour. You're
Probably not.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Max.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
Well done. Here come the test results. You are a horrible person. That's what it says. A horrible person. We weren't even testing for that.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And these are one of the most accurate tests you get, Allan, 99.9%.
You know, what can I say? My card says support your local villain.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass with, I will say that was one of your more accurate rejoinders so far. So,
Can I talk about something for a second?
Okay.
All right, Max, you do a great job with those. But before when we're fixing to come back, he tells us how much time we have for this segment. And then he gives us a rejoinder that may have us laughing for 3 minutes and cuts directly into my time.
Okay, good point. So,
It's all part of the plan.
all right, let's move on. Okay, speaking of the plan, so Disney has a plan.
Yeah,
Their
take your
plan
money.
is
They want your money.
You are never going to cancel our subscription to
You're
Disney
not.
Plus. And just when you think you want to, here comes, and Brandon, I should have learned better. I don't know why I still, even to this day, question anything coming from Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni or, any of the Star Wars stuff.
Honestly, Joe, I think it's a good thing that you do question it because when it hits as hard as it does, then you're even more excited about it.
Well, it's great when you have something, we talk about managing expectations. So when you come into a show, it's like, okay, well, Boba Fett, when they announced it, I've never been a fan of Boba Fett, to be honest. I never understood the fascination with him. And yet now I'm becoming a fan of him based on this show. And and I would say, folks, it's not a matter of, do you like this character? It's like, are you interested in the era in which this character lives, because that's what you're going to learn about. I mean, who would have thought we'd be rooting for the Tusken Raiders?
Mm-hmm. True.
Look what they've done.
I feel that I need to apologize to you about this, Joe.
Okay.
Is that I always give you grief when we're doing a review on a Marvel show because of the fact that the exposition episodes always seem to hit wrong with you. You're not a big fan of those. But this has been a lot of exposition, and you're still on the edge of your seat. Because it's about learning about a character that we've really never had any confirmation on and stuff in their past.
Yeah.
Well, outside of the fact that he is the alpha clone of Jango Fett and Omega is the Omega clone over on Bad Batch. But I'm not saying anything there. I'm just laying some groundwork.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like exposition when it moves the story forward, so I'm all for it. But this Boba Fett and what is Fennec? That's his.
Fennec Shan.
Fennec Shan, and she's become a business partner or a supporter, and it's interesting when you learn her backstory a little bit. And what's interesting to me is these are people that are basically assassins, bounty hunters. They'll kill you at the drop of a hat, and yet they have this code of honor as well, which she's got. She owes them a life debt.
We saw a lot of that with her in the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
when she decides she's going to protect Omega. And, fights Cad Bane. I mean, first off, if you square off with Cad Bane, nobody's paying you enough to do that.
Right.
He's I can't say what he is on the air, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we kind of saw a little bit of that when we saw her younger self in the Bad Batch. And then in this latest episode, that whole thing is like, he saves her life, and then she tells him straight up, it's like, all right, we get your ship back, and then I'm done. Then we're square.
We're square, right?
But then she stays with him anyway. Mm-hmm. And to stick with the power structure they seem to have with the criminal families of she's his major domo for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting dynamic.
Well, and you're also getting to fill in those gaps that made the original, I don't care what you call it, Star Wars so interesting.
Yeah.
Because here you were given these tiny, tiny little glimpses. I mean, you got barely a teaspoon of the desert world and the things in it, and you got a very one-sided view of what a Jawa was or what a Tusken Raider was, or even the space bar.
Right.
You got a sign that, I mean, even the great Ben Kenobi went, oh, this place is a pit.
Yeah.
and now, because we were teased with those, and the story, happily that story moved on so quickly that it left such fertile turf that now we can bring somebody like Boba Fett back, who we got, again, a teaspoon of, that he is such a bad mamma jamma that Vader has to point him out and put a finger in his face.
Yeah.
And
so
he's
you knew
this was this was the dude. And then to have such an ignominious, just random occurrence throw him out of the story.
Right.
Well, now we get him back. And so now the exposition, Joe, is this. I'm going to dare say, I'm going to pick on Joe for 1 minute and go, for the love of goodness, this isn't freaking Batman, where we know every nuance of his character.
Yeah, we know barely anything about it.
Right. Now we got a costumed character with a mission and attitude and some psychological damage. And we get to actually watch this unfold.
And I wanted to mention something now, real quick, Max. By the way, you'll be pleased to know. I don't know if you're caught up on episode 4 or not, but it turns out, the blue guy that plays the keyboard thing that's round. Yeah, we learned that his name is Max. Did you know? She goes, "Hey, Max." I didn't know that.
Rebo has. Yeah, we've known that. Well, I didn't. I did. You were old. You're older than me, so you didn't collect Star Wars toys back when the Star Wars movies were originally coming out.
Yeah,
I had the Max Rebo band set. Him and Cy Snoodles and Droopy McCool.
Oh,
yeah.
Droopy McCool.
I can't.
They all had names,
I can't ever remember the name of the guy who looks like Animal's second cousin who was put in the special edition. I can't ever remember that guy's name, but I can remember. I can always remember the characters from Star Wars whose figures I had.
Yeah, and of course the French horn player is the best. Whatever that. Anyway, but 2 points I wanted to mention real quick. I did want to point out what a beautiful shot it was when the slave won. Right, that's his. Even though they're not using that name anymore.
They're using the name. They're referring to. Well, that's Mando's. They're referring to it as the fire spray, which it's always been a fire spray.
Right.
That's like the model. That's like me and you. We drive Trailblazers.
Right. Okay.
That would be like if instead of if we had named our car, all of a sudden just starting to call it Trailblazer.
Okay. Right. There's a beautiful shot of that coming out of the distance, and it's the biker gang, for lack of a better term, that he's got a vendetta against. He comes in
the Nikto Speeder gang,
and the way they shot that was really neat.
You were talking about the potential homage to American Graffiti. Well, that might be a potential homage to North by Northwest, Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, it is.
That famous shot where the biplane is coming in and it swoops down. It looks just like
that angle. Watch how the camera rotates. That's exactly what that is, Max.
Yeah, I think you're right. And so that's a beautiful,
Max nails it.
Beautiful cinematography on that. It makes up for that goofy car chase, which we think was done purposely. But the other thing I wanted to mention to you guys is,
the one thing that car chase is missing, though?
What?
That one Vespa augment guy should have driven through a pane of transparent steel. Because in those little chases through town, someone always is walking around with a pane of glass and somebody drives through it.
Yeah,
that's true.
And if they want to be even cornier, it's a pane of glass that is just being replaced from the last time the thing was being broken.
Right. No, it's holographic, so it's like a ray shield or whatever, and they just pass through it without breaking it.
But it would
force field.
But it would still short circuit his Vespa enough to throw him off.
Yeah. Right. So the other thing I wanted to bring up, though, is this place takes place on Tatooine, which we learn, it's been mentioned before, but you learn it explicitly here that this used to basically be a planet with a lot of water.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, that desert landscape has got to be fascinating. What if our oceans just suddenly dried up?
Mm-hmm.
What would you find under there? Like we've seen some of these creatures that are under the sand
all the
coming
hidden
out
documents about climate change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there you go, Brent. But no, I mean, so just the
Water pirates.
the territory that we're seeing this on, they're leaning into that a little bit. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty interesting. So
All right, then I got to throw in, all right, it's just visual gold when Machete walks out wearing armor.
Dude. Anytime,
it's Danny.
you want to increase.
wait, tell us who you're talking. The guy that had the Rancor as a gift.
Danny Trejo.
Yes,
He's a rough looking guy.
Well,
and he
Danny
doesn't do
has
anything
been
to clean his act up either, does he?
Man, Danny is the scary guy from like 100 different movies, and just to have him come trotting out there,
Talk about typecast.
you just look over and you go, "Is that who I think that is?" And then the next thing you know, you're jumping up and down cheering, and you don't really care what he does next because you're just happy to see him.
Yeah,
But Allan, you mentioned that, and suddenly though, he wasn't typecast now that I think of it because he's bringing in a Rancor,
right?
And he's talking about that these creatures will actually bond with the first person, and so he's talking about actually the gentleness, you could say,
right,
or the whatever the faithfulness of what we've taken up till now to be just some monster that's going to eat you if you fall in the pit.
Exactly.
So.
We just got from all of the Luke Skywalker years and portrayals. You only got these tiny little glimpses of something. You didn't get to see all the cool stuff that happens behind the scenes. Okay,
right.
So yes, they're big and they're bad and they'll eat you. All right, well, so are a lot of animals unless it's yours.
Yeah.
Which is why the guys were crying so bad when their Rancor got killed.
Yeah.
Because
I never picked up on Rancor. That. Now it makes sense. That big guy was blubbering.
Yeah.
And
because that was his Rancor.
That was his Rancor.
The imprint was there. That was like, it was his kid for all intents and purposes.
He probably raised it from a bubbly 100-pound hatchling.
But,
to,
but yeah, I mean, I got a lot of grief because I was like, this episode of Boba Fett has the most adorable scene since Din met Grogu. Yeah. People are like, no. I was like, dude. He's like all sorts of excited, and he's like, I want to ride it. It's like, we're going to get to see Boba Fett ride a Rancor by the end of the season.
Because he said that's what he wants to get trained on. Real quick, though.
That'll be his litter.
I always forget. How do you pronounce the actor that plays Boba Fett's name?
Tamara Morrison.
Tamara. Even when he smiles, he looks like he's going to kill somebody. His smile is even sinister looking. Have you noticed that when he smiled at the Rancor?
But yet he's such a happy dude.
He doesn't smile with his eyes. That's the thing. Anyway, well, our smiles are genuine here on Geek Tank
but
Radio.
You can't see them.
Can't see them through the radio.
You can hear it through the speakers.
We'll try. Anyway, you're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
Honestly, I hate working here. They are so weird.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Another accurate statement. Boy, Max is full of painful truths today. I don't know. Anyway, welcome back to...
Got to make up for my absence.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
They must have knocked you down when you asked for the raise.
Absolutely. Welcome back to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk. Wait, that's not my normal intro. You threw me off. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And once again, one of the staples of our show, giving you as unclean of an open as you're going to get. So, hey, if you're just tuning in, we've been talking about the Book of Boba Fett, loaded with spoilers. So if you're not up to date, you're probably really mad at us for ruining the show. But it's well worth watching. And just put your faith. You can put your faith in David Filoni and Jon Favreau. Just if it's got their name on it, just give it a watch, especially with their animateds and everything else. So in a minute, though, we're going to shift over to science and talk about diamonds from outer space. But before that, I wanted to.
You mean this isn't a diamond from outer space, Joe?
Well, good point, Brandon. So, I had something I want to throw out to our listeners because I asked you guys this question off the air and you didn't have a definitive answer. So I want to put this out, and if you have an answer, get in touch with us at geektankradio.com or go to our Facebook page at Geek Tank Radio. You should do that anyway because you can check out all of our past shows. You can go to our Spotify and listen to us that way. Give us a 5-star review and, of course, share it with your friends. But Tatooine, Luke Skywalker grew up as a moisture farmer. Up until, I'll be honest, it was only later in life that I learned that Tatooine was actually a watery planet. It had the Dune Sea was actually a sea. It was underwater. So when I pictured Luke Skywalker's family being moisture farmers, I thought they were pulling the moisture out of the air. But I was asking, could some of that moisture be underground? Could there be pockets and remnants from those oceans, Allan? And maybe they're farming underground, but you weren't sure, really, right?
He never addressed it in the book. Lucas never really went into detail. He just wanted a droid that could talk to him.
Okay.
So he didn't really specify. So, the generalized guess would be that they're, drawing moisture from the air, but, I'm going to look at you and look at the listeners and go, what is your idea? What do you think?
Yeah, we'd like to know because, how much moisture can you pull out of that air? It's in a desert climate. Plus, don't you need it in the air or you're going to mess up the ozone even worse? I don't know. Whatever. It was science. When we watch Star Wars, the first thing we look for is accurate science. That's what it's all about, right, Brandon?
It was the Force, Joe.
All right. Well, let's shift over to real science. And this is interesting.
Hail science!
Thanks, Max. Okay. What do you got for us, Allan?
All right. Diamonds have what they like to call a carbon footprint.
Oh, I didn't know that.
All right. So basically a diamond, while it is mostly carbon in its, very pure form, there are very tiny little imperfections and impurities in every diamond. So
is that what those guys with the monocle are looking at? The high powered. They're seeing if there's an air bubble or something.
They're looking for the carats. They're looking for the clarity, the color, and they can also tell the chemical makeup. So, for a little while there, we had blood diamonds. We had diamonds coming from parts of the world.
People were mistreated, and
where things weren't good, so you weren't supposed to buy those and all that. Well.
Right.
With that technology came a diamond type, and they've been looking at it for a little while, and what they've decided is what they like to call Carbonado diamonds. Carbonado diamonds.
Honestly, that sounds like something you cook with.
Well, it does. But they just don't match anything on Earth.
Meaning, okay, so I'm picturing...
They didn't come from Earth.
Okay.
They got here via other transport.
For lack of a better metaphor, we've seen Jurassic Park where there's that bug inside that crystallized piece of sap or whatever it was that he had. Well, so by looking inside this thing, you might say something that's, okay, that's not on the periodic chart. That's not
right.
An Earth-based...
It's got that little tiny trace of iridium or something like that happens to be down there with it, and it's not necessarily from this particular planet.
Okay, because Allan, I've paid attention to your science. We're clear on the fact that like gold and other minerals are from outer space. They come in, but diamonds, you've always told us it's basically an earthbound thing. It's a bunch of compressed coal and things like that.
It's carbon under pressure.
Okay.
But again, as we have said many times, the universe doesn't care what we think, and it's a far more interesting place.
Well, that's true. It's not like we're the only ones that can make diamonds. Anybody can.
There's something in that diamond.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's going to be the end of us all.
How about a diamond called the Enigma?
Ooh.
I really wouldn't trust that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is sitting at the Dubai version of Sotheby's.
Of course it is.
So in Dubai at Sotheby's. All right, you ready? All right, you ready to write this down, Brandon?
I don't need to write this down.
All right, this thing is only 555.55 carats.
Oh,
that sounds like a lot.
It's a rock.
Yeah,
it is literally a rock.
It's like
this would have been in Smog's cash when he was.
This would have
stealing
been
everything from the
Smog's
doors.
cash.
Okay.
Yes.
This would have been something some random kid picked up and threw through somebody's window.
Not knowing any better. Yeah.
This is huge.
How big is this? Like big as your hand?
No, seriously.
Or it's like,
you see where I'm holding him?
Like a baseball
The
size.
audience doesn't.
Yes, but
that's about the size of a baseball.
Let's say at least 2 to 2.5 inches across.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a single diamond.
Okay.
And
it's okay.
It's black.
That's what's interesting to me. Do we get a lot of diamonds that are black, or do we get? Okay.
No.
That's interesting.
So,
but that's also because we don't see a whole lot of space diamonds.
And they're going to auction this baby off in London sometime in February. And they're looking, now this is a raw diamond. This is not cut or faceted or anything. This is just a big hunk of rock. And they're thinking it's going to go $6 million, $7 million, something like that.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was going to be actually more than that. But man, how'd you like to be the person that has to cut this thing?
So
you talk about
when does this go on auction?
Yeah, in February.
Okay.
Coming up.
By the end of January, there's going to be a heist. And this thing's going to get sold out of a restaurant in the back alleyways of New York somewhere.
No, I'm looking at this like on Google Images, and this looks like something like some sort of like infinity or fantasy stone and everything. Like, what sort of magical abilities can we get out of this?
Well, right, exactly. It's funny you said that.
Super COVID.
Max, that's what I was thinking because, we talked about releasing all these things like in Greenland that they haven't touched fresh air in, years because, melting stuff. Well, Allan, what if you cut this thing open and how many, space microbes are you releasing here and how many gamma rays and things like that? How many superheroes or villains are we creating?
Before Allan answers, I'm going to tell you what's going on.
Okay.
Before, if this thing reaches a certain temperature, it's going to become that same black ooze that was in that sarcophagus they found that people were bidding on trying to drink it.
Oh gosh, that's a deep cut. Yeah,
no, we're not drinking anything there.
Okay.
So basically, a giant space diamond is going to go up for auction in February.
Okay, is that the opening bid though? You said 5. It sounds like somebody's going to want to get their hands on this thing.
Oh, I'm sure that there is going to be quite the bidding war from a variety of sources because let's just face it, as Max has said, when you see a picture of this thing, it's like something like the knuckle guard to the Infinity Gauntlet.
Wow,
it's huge. I mean, it's just this massive black diamond. Now, that got me thinking, and I went, okay, so if we got outer space diamonds, where would we get them from?
Well, because I'm compiling my list of questions too, Allan, so go ahead. That was one of them. Where did it come from? Yeah.
Well, and I did a little bit of a deep dive on this, and I was thinking, all right, is there some place just close in hand, like the moon or something, or, where are we finding diamonds? And I got to reading about good old, our buddy Uranus.
Yeah.
And, well, he's basically regarded, him and Neptune are regarded as the ice giants. Right?
Yeah, they're pretty cold out there.
Right.
So,
well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Because on some of the flybys, back in 1977 when Voyager 2 went by, it went, it's really cold, but it's really dense, and there's a lot of pressure, and there is extreme heat in the center.
Well, that's true. There could be volcanic things keeping it warm. There could be, stuff under the atmosphere. Because like Jupiter, isn't it like roiling hot when you get beneath? Because of chemical reactions.
They're not peaceful and quiet.
Okay.
And before we go on break, I'm going to throw out there that these planets have mantle temperatures of around 7,000 kelvins.
How hot is that in Fahrenheit?
12,000 degrees.
Yeah. At that point, it'll melt lead, right?
Yeah, I think we covered lead in 10 a while back.
So you think this could be one of our neighbors spitting out these diamonds? That might just be the tip of the iceberg.
Well, when we come back, I'm going to explain to you how it could be raining diamonds.
Okay. Hey, there we go. So the Kardashians will love the sound of that. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and then get ready for the diamond rains.
Geek Tank Radio. News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
Who let that guy in? I mean, I don't know. Audience, live reactions. I mean, whatever. It's like, anyway.
Anytime our rejoiner has someone screaming, Joe starts giggling before the mics are on. I was like, it's gonna be on the air.
It's bad. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass, doing his duty. I will say he's doing his job today, even if our intros are sloppy and ill-conceived.
You're welcome.
Wait. That's not on purpose. I thought that was our gimmick.
That's a staple of the show. Hey, if
we've only been doing it 7 years on purpose, Joe.
Good point. Hey, if you're just tuning in, Allan has brought us a story about it, and Brandon's dutifully posted it on our Geek Tank Radio Facebook page. It's pretty interesting to see.
As soon as I saw this thing, I was like, our audience needs to see this.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a baseball. I mean, it's a diamond, a black diamond from outer space, the size of a baseball.
It's the evil space rock.
It's pretty big.
It's huge.
It's not round. It's sort of rectangular, actually. But off the air, well, we're compiling our list of questions, which Allan knew was coming. But off the air, Brandon brought up what is probably the biggest concern in this whole thing. So can you share that with our audience?
The idea that someone's
what's going to happen?
All right, so what's going to happen here is there's going to be two options. So the guy who wins this, or girl, or whoever, is either going to hoard it in a vault somewhere for another 100,000 years, or they're going to decide, I can make jewelry out of this. They're going to cut into it and release whatever space microbe from the planet Dracul is still embedded in this thing. And we're going to get attacked by vampires because the way the 2020s have gone so far, that's the next evolutionary step in all the crap that happens to us.
So that's how the infiltration begins.
Okay.
Yeah. On a microscopic
we were worried
level.
about space lizard people. No, it's space vampires.
It's space goths.
So this is like, could the Green Lantern Corps form out of this? They all get their rings of power, right?
Hey.
I mean, there's a really cool anime that I had seen called Trinity Blood. They don't explain it in the anime, but they talk about how, like, quote unquote vampirism is a disease from Mars. So I think that's kind of cool.
There you go. Well, you know, Neptune or Uranus, that's pretty close. I mean,
maybe Uranus.
Well, I think Brandon brings up a valid concern, Allan. What do you have to say to that? I mean,
all right. Well, it's carbon. So, you know, I'm not worried about a microbe or something being inside of it. I do think it would be a shame to cut such an amazing stone in its natural state.
Well, that's what I was getting at, Allan, because I was asking, okay, what would the actual usefulness, be of a diamond that size? Because, obviously you can cut it up and make jewelry, like Brandon said, you can stick in a safe, but could it be used in, like, don't lasers and things like hard glass or something? I don't know. I mean, is there some science?
They're referring to it as the goth diamond. I mean, its superpower is being pretentious.
And who do we want to see wearing that? I mean, who deserves to wear that?
Cassandra Peterson.
And now my
Johnny
other question is like, how we're replicating other things? Like, what if we could 3D print or replicate other, like this diamond and everything, and all of a sudden it doesn't become as beautiful and rare?
Thanks, Max. Okay. All right. Well, but we would know it's not the original.
Why we got to get a downer in the last segment?
It's not a downer. It's a curiosity.
I don't think we're anywhere near that kind of pressurized 3D printing at this stage of the game.
Okay. We can talk to the Memphis
But
makers.
can something be done with this that would make it a useful item? I don't know. I mean,
all right. Well, diamond itself is a vastly useful industrial product, especially when it comes to shaping, grading, or you need an impervious surface.
Because don't they have diamond cutting or like a diamond tipped blade
saws,
or something?
Diamond blades, diamond this, diamond that. Diamond itself, especially artificially created diamond, is used in hundreds of different applications.
Right.
Joe.
Yeah.
It's a kyber crystal.
Yeah. Now Joe's really excited.
It's the Darksaber Kyber crystal. I love the Darksaber, by the way.
The Darksaber is the coolest. Yeah, for sure. So, yep. But you're saying, well, it's going to come down to who wins it, right? I mean,
well, yeah, somebody would think this thing's going to go up for auction, and somebody's going to buy it.
Hold on, Allan. Once again, you've buried the lead. Who found this? I don't even know where this came from. Like who discovered this and who put it up for sale? And
well, let's see.
Once again, Allan didn't do his research. He's scrolling through the computer.
Well,
okay.
No, it's just that it's been around the Middle East for quite a time. It is even of the whole Arabic thing about the five and how the diamonds are shaped and all that kind of stuff.
It's already been passed from several groups of people, I guess.
This is not a brand new diamond.
Okay, all right.
This has got a little history to it, and they will reveal the entire lineage of the diamond, but it wasn't mined miles deep someplace in a mine. I mean, this was found basically off of a meteorite site.
So it landed in Jordy Verrill's backyard.
You don't know. You don't know.
Wait,
but
who
it's just
verifies?
pointing out
Yeah.
there could be many others.
Who's the person or who's the group that verifies to prove that this is from outer space? Because obviously it's going to raise the value of it, but don't you have to prove it beyond?
Well, all right. Well, one, when it comes to diamonds, you are talking about the most studied gemstone on the planet.
Okay.
We have gemological societies of every aspect of a diamond is known and understood. So when they can tell you, looking at a diamond, whether or not it came from South Africa or it came from the Congo, you know a lot about diamonds.
I know this doesn't have to do with diamonds, but this makes me think of that Seinfeld episode where there's a connoisseur about old cake. See, there's a connoisseur for everybody.
I went a completely.
Thanks for sideways. Yeah, but that's good. That's true.
Max, I went a completely different direction. I was thinking about those guys who verified that unopened case of Pokemon cards that Logan Paul just got ripped off for $3.5 million.
Well,
turns out that they were G.I. Joe cards from the 90s.
Oh, wow. Well, I just wonder how much.
Couldn't happen to a nicer
What
guy.
is the day-to-day life of a diamond inspector? I mean, that's got to verify things from outer space. Are they sitting in their office twiddling their thumbs until every 50 years something like this comes along?
Davis, we got a new diamond for you to look at. Right. Okay. Well, okay. It's from space. What?
Yeah. So.
Well, Sophie Stevens is the jewelry specialist at Sotheby's Dubai who's handling this. And I assure you, every possible test that could be done on a diamond has been done.
Okay.
Sotheby's is renowned for being, if we say it's a diamond, it had dadgum well better be a diamond. If it's got a certain lineage, it better have that lineage.
Do they have the diamond hooked up to like a respirator and like running on a treadmill, like doing scientific stuff?
Well,
we're going to stress test
the diamond version of it, yes.
Yeah. Max is not allowed to have caffeine anymore.
I'm pretty sure. I'm thinking more along the lines of she walked up, she looked at it, it beamed into her eyes, and she said, "Yes, master."
Bingo. There you go, Brandon, because there's some...
I've been on a sci-fi movie kick. They're all disasters.
I mean, what would... Because, Allan, I'm thinking if okay, let's just suppose this diamond's floating around in space for eons and whatever. What sort of radiation is it absorbing? What sort of different things is it interacting with?
Has it attained consciousness?
Right. I mean,
3 criminals from Krypton.
Right. I mean, we don't know. I mean, cutting it open, I agree with Brandon. Cutting it open is a recipe for disaster.
I don't think it's a recipe for disaster. I just think it would be a shame to jewelry-eyes, if that's you want to call it that phrase, of such a beautiful natural stone, because these are extremely rare.
We'll say commercialized because that's what it is.
Well, yeah. They're very rare. They're normally found in Brazil because that apparently is where that particular type of meteorite or asteroid has fallen.
Okay.
I think a couple have been found in Central Africa. But these are exciting finds in the gemological world. Somebody comes up with one of these, it goes through a lot of testing before somebody gets to call it a Carbonado diamond.
Yeah, I agree. I would not want to see this thing cut up at all. You think of the interesting patina or the finish that it's got on the surface being exposed to space and all that, and as soon as you cut it up, it's gone.
I mean, to quote the Princess Bride with Inigo Montoya, is like to destroy such a beautiful stained glass statue yourself would be a crime.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a natural. Just why cut it up?
It's been around a long time in this natural state, and I have a feeling whoever buys it is going to keep it in its natural state.
I hope so.
Because there it holds all the potential.
It belongs in a museum.
Well, we can go back and pick on something like the Hope Diamond.
Yeah.
Which was actually a much, much larger diamond before the Hope Diamond was cut out of it. And the original stone was said to carry, unfortunate things would happen to you.
Well, yeah.
Well, but see, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you have something that's worth all that money, you're going to have people killing and stealing and everything to get it.
I love cursed items.
Yeah, I think it's just, who would want that? Yeah. I mean, you paint a bullseye on your back with that.
There's still people who want to buy carriages that despots were killed in that are cursed items. I mean, there's weird people in this world who'll buy anything, Joe.
Well, that's true.
I will say this for the Hope Diamond.
Should I send them to the NCFC website? Our tickets are cursed.
Yeah.
Since the Hope Diamond no longer belongs to an individual, it has brought a great deal of prosperity to the Smithsonian Museum that now caretakes for it and has it on display because a whole lot of people want to see it.
Right.
So I think that's probably going to be the fate of the Enigma diamond, is that it will wind up in the hands of somebody that will put it on display.
Yeah.
And then hopefully it will not turn into an Ant-Man and Wasp movie with somebody trying to steal it to power their goth laser.
Somebody's gonna go for it. I mean, you know, the ocean. We're overdue for another Ocean's 11 movie. So I mean, what I would like to see, because I know these diamonds and I know all these rare gems and stuff, they're always displayed, but I would like them to be more displayed in a more interactive way. Like, you know, instead of just looking at it in a glass case, show what happens when you shoot a laser through it. Show what happens when you put it under a black light, or make it a little more exciting.
So rather than just sit there, it's like every Tuesday at 2:00, come watch us, test the reflectiveness of this diamond.
We smash a sledgehammer against it and watch the sledgehammer shatter.
If we did that with a Mona Lisa, it would have a lot of like children's Cheeto prints on it and everything.
No, I mean, because otherwise you're
only Joe would be. But does it bedazzle well? How does it look? How does it look in a bling? How does?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying it's full of all these exciting properties, and we're just going to stare at it. That sounds like a wasted opportunity, Alan. Put the diamond to work. I mean, what the heck?
Put it to work. Wow.
Okay. Hey, by the way, before we get out of here, not to abruptly shift gears, I forgot to mention we're in the final season of Attack on Titan. This is it. It is wrapping up this a 10-year anime series, so we're going to have to weigh in on that soon, Alan. You and I are the anime fans.
Yeah, we got a giant skillet just for it.
Yeah, so it's coming at you. But guys, it's time to get out of here. Another interesting episode of Geek Tank Radio is in the can. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Alan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, challenging you to put in your bid for the Enigma Diamond.